Well, I know that y'all miss me. We have a whole bunch of NBA news to cover today. Um, we're gonna dive in a little bit to Team USA as well, but yeah, the NBA in the past 2 days has been absurd. I didn't even cover the Kawhi Leonard trade when it came out because I was like, okay, like been there, done that. I was a little bit salty. He didn't come back to the Spurs. You're gonna get my full thoughts on every trade, all the signings, all that kind of stuff in just one moment. Going back to the Ja Morant trade, Ja Morant got traded for Jeremy Grant and Chris Murray. To be honest, I think that it makes sense that it was a really tough market, but the Blazers look sneaky good if Morant can play at the same level that he once did. But at the same time, there's just way too much going on there. We have no idea what that really is going to mean. And then the big one, Landry Shamet gets a 4-year, $24 million deal with the Knicks. Pretty solid compensation. Six mil a year for someone who's just strictly coming off your bench is honestly pretty great. Um, Lou Dort signs or has the team option exercised by the Thunder. The big one, Julian Champagny, shout out. He gets his bag after he declined the. Um, no, did we decline his team option? I forgot he was a team option or a player option player. Regardless, he had a $3 million deal. We decline or he declines, and we get a $45 million a year deal done. He well deserves the 15 mil a year. I feel like he could have gone more, but he was willing to sign for 45, so we'll take it. We lock him down for the next 3 years. So it's kind of money that when we get to some further trades, some further signings, uh, you're okay with him moving to the bench maybe with that kind of money. But yeah, Nurkic signs a 2-year, $22 million deal with the Jazz. This was kind of the instigator to the Walker Kessler stuff that happens, and we'll talk about the Walker Kessler stuff as we go chronologically in order. But at this point, the Nurkic deal happens. We're seeing reports that Walker Kessler has landed in LA, and it was all but given that Walker Kessler was going to be a Laker. Big news that Jaylen Duren is most likely to be in a sign and trade where Sabonis will go to the Pistons and Duren would go to the Kings. I really hate that. Mainly because I don't know what the Kings would be doing with Duren. I get that you don't want to be a bottom three team anymore. But Acuff and Duren, you're going to have to either release or trade DeRozan. You're going to have a bunch of money on your books because of that. Is that the most ideal situation? You know, obviously not the Kings GM, but to me, that doesn't seem like that's something you would want. Porzingis hits the 2-year, $40 million extension, which all but guarantees that if Anthony Davis goes, is going to be traded to the Warriors, you would have to see Jimmy Butler traded, sign Draymond to the same deal that Porzingis has. D'Anthony Melton would have to decline the player option, find someone else to take Moses Moody, so trade him away, and then sign the mid-level exception for LeBron. So to me, while it is still the most likely on all like prediction markets and sports books, I don't think that we're gonna be seeing LeBron in a Warriors jersey because of this whole Porzingis situation. But the Pistons then say they're uninterested in signing and trading, and they're basically uh, likely end up just matching whatever offer he gets. Jaylen Duren wants to play in Sacramento for some reason, and Domantas Sabonis is interested in going to Detroit. Let's search this up real quick. I wasn't 100% sure. He played college in Memphis, and he was born in Pennsylvania. And he went to Montverde. See, Roman Catholic in Pennsylvania. And Gunning Bedford in Delaware. So he did not go to school in Sacramento. As someone who lives an hour and a half, 2 hours south of Sacramento, you don't want to play in Sacramento, my guy. I promise you don't. Let's see. Robert Williams does not go back to the Blazers, as he's expecting a $15 million a year contract. Good for him. Is that really the kind of contracts that we give out? Robin Williams, 15 mil a year? We give 15 mil a year to Julian Champagnie, who is a starter on championship team. And then Robert Williams gets a 3-year, $44 million extension with the Blazers. Obviously, I've seen a lot of this news. I didn't really see the news pertaining to Robert Williams. Yikes. Is that not bloated? 2 injury prone, 15 mil on the books if he gets injured again. That's kind of what I would say. Yeah, it's very fair. Cavs interested in pursuing LeBron. I feel like they'll have a chance. I saw his Instagram story was him driving through Cleveland earlier today. And then we see the breaking news: Kawhi Leonard for Brandon Ingram, Grady Dick, 2 first-round picks, 1 first-round pick swap, and 2 second-round picks. That's a haul for the Clippers. This is the first time I've seen the Clippers get a haul back instead of sending out a haul. Yeah, if Kawhi is healthy, that's a top 3 team in the East. If Kawhi's not healthy, this is a first pick contention team. And this is no disrespect to Scotty Barnes or anyone else, but yeah, I just don't see anything better from them in this scenario. Yeah, I don't know. Obviously, if this was the price, the Spurs were never giving this up. So I'm kind of happy that happened. We could not match this price without dismantling this team. Obviously, Brandon Ingram is kind of like you're buying him at a trough, and you don't really know where his value is going to go in the future at this point. 28. So he still has a lot of years. I feel like he's been in the league forever. But yeah, he still has a few more years. He's entering his prime. He can get around these slumps that he's had here and there. Grady Dick has a huge ceiling, but currently is ranging around his floor. But I'm sure with the Clippers having not much to play for next season, where they will probably be that 15-14 seed in the West, it's not a bad situation for him to maybe blossom. And Kawhi wants to now retire in Toronto. Obviously, I'm very attached to Kawhi. He was the first player I liked. I'm never going to stop liking him, regardless of, the discourse that was going on between Spurs fans on, hey, do we still like Kawhi? Not really from a lot of them. There's a lot of debate about it, but yeah, I will always love Kawhi. I will love him hoisting up that Finals MVP trophy, those 2 Defensive Players of the Years, him basically almost carrying us to beating that 2017 Warriors team until Zaza unfairly took him out of the game. We'll see what happens with Kawhi in a Raptors jersey. He might get that retired, which feels really weird to me. But moving forward, the Wizards then say they're not interested in trading AD, and I thought that was so funny because I don't think the Warriors, there's already conversation that LeBron's only going if they got AD. Clearly he wants to play with AD. I feel like if the Wizards are not interested in trading him, you now have the opportunity to have AJ DeBonsta, AD, and LeBron on the same team with Trae Young at your point guard. That team is nice. That team is nice. Oh my god. Oh my god. Yeah, the Wizards could go 3 or 4 in the East if they get LeBron and AD stays healthy and all, like things go well. Like AJ DeBonsta is who we think he will be. Yeah, there's a few factors to it, but I could very easily see that. And then we see the big talk about Sandro Mamu. Oh, I don't even know how to say Mamu's name. No disrespect, but he's supposed to be the replacement Rui Hachimura. He showed a lot of upside last year. Replacement to a dude who played arguably better than Austin Reeves in your playoff run. Luke Kennard goes to the Suns, and at this point, we were seeing indictments for Rob Pelinka online, but they talk about the NBA Cup. I have no care about that. Zach Collins goes to the Bulls. Dean Wade goes to the Sixers in a 4-year, basically $10 million a year deal with the Sixers. It's pretty interesting because he's a starting level player to me. In the right situation, and we'll get to it, but I think the Sixers are the right situation. Donovich in a 1-year deal to the Rockets. Marcus Smart signs with the Rockets as well, so we'll see what the Rockets are cooking. I think KD is staying. I don't know how that's going to go. Marcus Smart is going to probably play off the bench from Fred VanVleet, but the Rockets are such an interesting situation that I think I could make a whole 20-minute video about that. John Collins to sign a 3-year, $51 million deal to the Pistons. Nothing crazy. Norman Powell goes to the Bulls. Big loss for the Heat, but we kind of knew that at this point with Wiggins opting in. So Huck Forty goes to the Sixers, so they have their backup in case Embiid is not there. Rich Paul gets a bunch of LeBron offers. Still don't know anything about that to this moment. Vucevic to the Magic. Conley to the Celtics. Mitchell Robinson signs a 3-year, $47.4 million deal with the Celtics. I know they love this guy, and I know they love what he can do. The hack of Mitch is real. That dude did not play real minutes. And I think that the Spurs did not utilize Hakamich to the fullest extent. With him being this big of a deal, I'm assuming that he's going to be worked into the Celtics lineup a little bit more, and therefore he's going to be something that people study beforehand, especially in the playoffs. A guy who can't play meaningful minutes for you in the playoffs, you're giving $15 million a year to? Again, makes me feel better and better about the Julian Champagnie deal that the Spurs signed, because he's getting this like slightly less money, which I think that Julian Champagnie is miles better than Mitchell Robinson. So I think this is a super inflated deal here. We get the big first trade of the day. Walker Kessler for the Jazz get 2 first-round picks and 2 first-round pick swaps. And then Kessler signs a 4-year, $130 million deal with the Lakers. The issue with Kessler, can he stay on the court? We'll see what happens there. To me, Walker Kessler is a really solid NBA player with a lot of upside if he can stay on the court. He's someone that I highly value if I were to be an NBA GM. The Lakers clearly see him as like an exact complement to what you can see from Luka, but it'll be tough to know if he can actually live up to that kind of hype. If he can play, and if he does play, can he play to the level where he is complementing a Luka Doncic? His defense is great, but let's keep moving here so that we can get a little bit more there. Mamu signs a 4-year, $52 million deal with the Lakers right after. Quentin Grimes signs a 4-year, $60 million deal with the Lakers, and Colin Sexton signs a 2-year, $19 million deal with the Lakers. Sexton to replace Smart, great move. Quentin Grimes, just some depth. Um, Pretty expensive depth, mind you. He signed the Mitchell Robinson, Julian Champagnie money, so pretty expensive depth. Mamu, starting level player who they believe is equivalent to Rui Hachimura. Rui would be more expensive than this. That's all I can really say here. But yeah, I don't think that Walker Kessler can handle defensively everything. Don't get me wrong, if he is very similar to Wemby, then you'll see that kind of upside from him. It's a huge upside swing where you can have defenders just cheat on defense, and at the same time, you're just going to have a bunch of defensive liabilities starting for you. So I don't know how the Lakers are going to plan to do that. LeBron says he may want to turn this next season into a documentary. This might be it. LeBron might be done. I will cry. I will feel the world around me changing, but this day was going to happen one day. I read this at work and I thought it was crazy, but now I'm reading it again and it's hard to process that we may live in a world where LeBron's not playing. Jackson Hayes goes to the Jazz, which makes sense in this one. It's basically like you threw Jackson Hayes along with all the picks in that draft, in that deal for Walker Kessler, because like you're replacing the centers there. I think that Jackson Hayes is the better of the two in DeAndre Ayton and him. I don't know if he's good enough to be a starter, but we'll see what the Jazz plan to do. I don't think they're planning on being very competitive next year. Tobias Harris, 2-year, $31 million deal with the Spurs. I don't like it. I don't like it because we put in slightly more equity to him than we did to Champagnie, which to me means that Champagnie's riding the bench. Just financially. Obviously, this doesn't mean anything, but clearly it does, because De'Aaron Fox would not be starting if the finances didn't mean anything. So, based on the way that we've seen the Spurs organization run, we're going to see Fox, Castle, Devin Vassell, Tobias Harris, and Wemby out there in our starting lineup. Do I love that? I like the idea of shooting around Wemby, but at the same time, Tobias Harris is quite inconsistent. He was great in this playoff run, but I guess we'll have to see what he really does. To me, it's not a needle mover. I don't think any of the small forwards on the market other than LeBron James were a needle mover, and right after making this signing, the Spurs are not expected to pursue LeBron James. I would have wished they were, but yeah, to me, the Thunder have done a little bit more this offseason for me to be more optimistic about them, and also them just being healthier next season. So for them to be the number one seed, I still think the Spurs will be the number two, and anything can happen in the playoffs, but yeah, I don't know how I feel about it. I will need to see how these rotations work, because we did re-sign Harrison Barnes to an $8 million contract, so are we going to see what, you have this starting lineup? You got Champagnie as your main sixth man, right? Then what do you get after that? You get, I would hope, Carter Bryant gets a lot more minutes, especially through the regular season. Then you get Keldon Johnson. Then you get Harrison Barnes. Kind of bloated at the position. That's not even talking about Quaintance and Reed. I'm assuming Reed, because Quaintance is probably going to have to basically redshirt this year, but Reed in the backup. Cornette basically falls out of the rotation. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like this is just looming that there will be more moves made, because otherwise this means that we are selling our 14th overall pick from last season. which I don't feel too great about doing because I think Carter Bryant has shown real flashes. Obviously he wasn't great, but real flashes are real flashes, man. And I was like, okay, cool. Let me watch some soccer. Because all of a sudden Belgium came back against Senegal. And then I get a notification on my phone. Sixers get Jaylen Brown. Celtics get Paul George, 2 first-round picks and 2 second-round picks. I didn't even get the original notification that Jaylen Brown trade happened. I see this, and I'm like, what? And I see Paul George and Jaylen Brown's name in the notification because it doesn't show you all the text in the notification. I'm like, okay, they got Paul George, but I'm assuming they got, like, you know, something else in there. I didn't really know what they were going to get because, like, you know, you're not giving away Tyrese Maxey. VJ Edgecombe is kind of untouchable. You're not going to give Embiid away for nothing. So, like, there's no real pieces to trade. No, it was just Paul George, 2 first-round picks and 2 second-round picks. An interesting thing that we heard was, you know, could they have done the Kawhi trade? Like, could they have traded him to the Clippers for Kawhi? Could they have traded him to the Raptors for the same haul? Clearly not. So the Raptors valued Kawhi more than they value Jaylen Brown. Because this is a better haul for the Celtics. Unless they really did not like the haul of Brandon Ingram, Grady Dick, 2 first-round picks, 1 first-round pick swap, and 2 second-round picks. Which to me is a great deal. See, there is a chance where this deal, quote-unquote, ages well. But to me, regardless, if you're going to sell on Jaylen Brown, this is the time to sell high. 2 years ago, Finals MVP. This past season, best, like, year of his career. I was listening to a podcast today, and they were talking about, like, if Jason Tatum wanted to, couldn't he just say no? Couldn't he just say no? I feel like Jason Tatum has the final say here. Or not a final say, but a somewhat big say here. And I don't... Was Jason Tatum also fed up with this? Did Jason Tatum also not like the antics of, say, going on a whole media tour about how much you love the season that you lost in? That you lost in the first round after blowing a 3-1 lead in because you had your personal best, but not what the team had? I mean, I really don't know. I feel like Jaylen Brown has some sort of CTE, which obviously I don't think he does, and I'm not trying to make light of CTE, but dude went to Berkeley, got an internship at NASA before entering the NBA draft. This dude's a very smart guy. All of a sudden, he's getting traded for almost nothing. It seems like the organization has some sort of gripe with him, because otherwise there's no way to fathom a trade like this. Clearly, from what, not saying that Jason Tatum wanted him out the door, but Jason Tatum clearly didn't make any stoppage here. So he doesn't have the voice behind him and his teammate that he was taking over for. The Celtics later come out here and say that they thought that Derek White had a better season than Jaylen Brown. Which, Derek White had an off shooting year. Yes, he was all defensive. I don't really know. Jaylen Brown, there were people debating on ESPN today if Jaylen Brown should get his jersey retired. He 100% should get his jersey retired. Are you kidding me? Even in their 18 championships. Let me just search up. Okay, so I don't think that the Finals MVP award was around long enough for this. It says John Havlicek, JoJo White, Cedric Maxwell, Larry Bird twice, Paul Pierce, and then Jaylen Brown. So yeah, it wasn't introduced until 1969. Bill Russell never won one, but he was the one to get the name to him. He's one of the most iconic players. 5 players, 1 being Jaylen Brown. Like, what? 5 players, 1 being Jaylen Brown. In a team that's won 18 championships. Say Bill Russell wins some of them. Would be 6, 7, 8 maybe players. That's still 8 of the most iconic players in Celtics history. That number 7 should be hanging in the rafters next to the 6 because he's a finals MVP on their most recent run. I mean, it gets worse the more and more I think about it. Like, he's one of the best players in Celtics history. Like, if you did the all-time 2K teams, even if he doesn't start, he's definitely coming off the bench as a 6th man. So 76ers, they might be NBA Finals favorites. Boston moves down 3%. So Boston has a 9% chance to win after this trade. Philly has a 6%, jumping from 2%. So with LeBron, will he go to the Sixers? Sixers have expressed interest. Philly's a big market. I don't know. We could see it. I don't think it would work, but I would love to see something big happen here. The East doesn't look that easy anymore. The East does not look that easy. Yeah, this video is already a little bloated. I was going to talk a little bit about the US team, but that's going to take me too long. So, yeah, let me know what you think about all these moves, all these trades, all these signings. We're in for a great season. At least for the first couple of weeks, I'm going to be watching. No, I'm not. There's football. I'm going to be honest. There's football. But I'll be watching afterwards to see how these trades are panning out. But till next time, peace.